A while ago, I did a video on the DMC reboot that you should watch, by the way. And I never covered Vergil's Downfall, which was the DLC that was released shortly after the game came out. And now that I've played the game about 5 times, it kind of sucks. It's super short, and if you don't want to play the DLC again on like a harder difficulty, it lacks any content outside of a very short Bloody Palace in comparison to what we're used to. Vergil's Bloody Palace only has 60 floors compared to the usual 100, and only has a single boss fight in it. And before we get into like the real nitty gritty, I do want to talk about one thing, and that's the fact that the definitive edition has extra content for Vergil. The definitive edition has the Bloody Palace compared to the normal version of the game that you would probably buy on Steam now. Uh, the Steam version is just the complete game with all of the DLC, which is different from the definitive version, where the definitive version has a shit ton of balance changes to the overall game and also adds a Bloody Palace for Vergil. It kind of sucks because the only way to play the definitive edition is to buy it on Xbox One or PS4, and it sucks that it never came to PC. But in the normal version that you would buy on Steam, if you happen to buy this game, uh, it only has 6 missions for Vergil, and that's all the content you get. And it's not particularly interesting. It's 6 missions, a single boss fight, and you don't really have enough to explore Vergil's kit. I'm not like there's much of a kit to explore, but we'll get into it. But I won't rag too hard on it. I have to give Ninja Theory props where it's due. After 2 times where we got to play as Vergil and we just kind of played like through levels we had already seen in the game, Ninja Theory attempted to give us something different with Vergil having 6 of his own unique missions that you never see in the game. But this doesn't make these missions good. They are pretty short and they reuse a lot of areas and assets, and it's very clear that there was a bit of a time crunch when they were making this, and it doesn't help that the story leaves off on a cliffhanger that is designed to lead into a sequel to this game. One that never came. But hey, I'm one of the few people that think maybe what DMC needs is a sequel to the reboot, especially after watching Netflix's Netflix's DMC anime. Maybe this is the best thing we could get. Jokes aside, the game opens with Vergil walking to a grave of his mother and dying there just after he walked through the portal at the end of the main DMC story.
What happened to us, Father? Dante betrayed me. There's nothing left for me here.
And, he's bleeding from his chest because, Dante did stab him. And he dies. I'm not even joking. He dies and goes to hell. And when he gets up, he sees that he's at his childhood home. And, after moving around a little bit, he's still clearly injured. He runs into some fodder demons like 2 seconds later and tries to use doppelganger on them. There's levels of slander here that have never been achievable for Vergil, but a sniper abortion exists.
You're about to get clipped by an alpha with a cold heart.
There's no way you just said that.
And I don't know how that made it through any boardroom. But him trying to use doppelganger on some random enemies is really fucking funny. And I know it's to show that he's powerless currently and he doesn't have his amulet, which sure, that's one way to show it. But he moves into his childhood home and he sees visions of when they were younger, Dante beat him in a fight, and he hears Dante taunting him. And we get to see how Vergil views Dante now after everything that happened at the end of the main DMC story. Hell, we even get a flashback to the him getting his ass beat what is essentially like canonically 5 seconds ago. Making it to the other side of the house, Vergil hears his mom.
Vergil, my son, you're dead.
What?
You're trapped here, just like me. But you can escape. You still have a chance. The light. Find the light and get out of here.
So he's off to the light. And once he gets to the light and he gets to the gates, they close on him and he has to fight his way through a group of enemies before Kat shows up to warn him that he's in danger.
Vergil, wait! You're in danger.
Hey, Vergil. You're not going anywhere. How does it feel, brother? To be beaten again?
And we see an apparition that looks like Dante stab Vergil and taunt him again in ways that are just out of character, even for reboot Dante. Dante. This causes him to fall deeper into hell, and he's confronted by Hollow Vergil, who chastises him for being weak.
Look at you. Who are you? You failed. Your father gave you everything. And now you have nothing. Everyone you care about, everyone you love, has turned their back on you. How does it feel? My heart. You can't change the past. But what would you do if you had another chance?
And he has to fix the holes in his heart, which starts with him helping an apparition of Kat. We see Kat getting chased by a monster, and Vergil's want to help her and to protect her, even if he was a bit morally skewed during the game. He does care for Kat, at least some part of him cares for Kat. And we see a monster chasing Kat, and this is what unlocks his angel powers. And we'll talk more about Vergil's moveset and his kit later on, because I got some things to say. But we go to where the monster chased Kat to, and the Kat apparition also chastises Vergil for being weak and letting her down. And Vergil tries to tell himself he cares, and somewhere deep down he still does. But eventually the apparition turns into a monster and tries taking a swipe at him before he cuts it down. And this severs the last connection of anything good he has in his heart. And it helps us unlock the demon powers, even if the pop-up for the demon powers doesn't appear until like 5 minutes from now. The next mission has us following the Dante apparition as he taunts Vergil at every turn in a very uncharacteristic manner, as I'm trying to like emphasize. This isn't Dante. This is an idea of what Vergil thinks of Dante now. And we eventually cornered Dante on the statue of Asael, which is where Dante got his devil trigger in the main game, which is pretty cool. But Vergil stabs Dante in the same place Dante stabbed him and takes his amulet.
I killed him. You took his amulet. It's useless. It only responds to Dante. She gave it to him. Remember? He was always her favorite. You know that. The way she admired his impulsiveness, how he followed his heart. You should find her. Show her what you've done. Finish what you've started.
And now Hollow Vergil tells Vergil to go show his mom what he's done. After all, Dante was her favorite. I get that Vergil's not supposed to be the most sane individual, but just like the Netflix anime, I mean, not in a one-to-one way, but the way that they handle the brothers' backstory in this game is rough, to say the least. In the next mission, though, we get to see their mom getting attacked by a monster, the same monster that was attacking Kat, and Vergil shows up just in time to save her, killing the monster, and then Vergil taunts his mom with Dante's amulet.
Virgil, I'm so glad you're here. I thought I would never see you again. Virgil? Virgil? What's happened?
He's dead.
How?
It was me.
What?
I killed him.
And now, with most of his power restored, he decides to finally take on Hollow Vergil to get his full power back. And the fight's okay. It's kind of essentially the same fight you have to do at the end of the main story, but with some added moves like giant swords getting slammed down on you. And anyways, once Vergil wins the fight, he absorbs Hollow Vergil and takes back his amulet, finally letting us use Doppelganger. Hell yeah, this is awesome.
That's it? That's the last episode? That was just a bunch of cheap walk cycles!
What a rip.
Jokes aside, you're given one mission to play with Doppelganger, and that's it. Unless you replay the 6 missions, or you do Bloody Palace, which, sure, it's still Bloody Palace, it's something to do, it's a fun way to use the whole character's kit. It being 60 floors does kind of suck, especially when Vergil's not given a good boss fight. And I get that the DLC isn't supposed to be super long or anything, and that's fine. I don't think I need a super long experience for it to be enjoyable and or memorable. But it feels like there's a lack of things to do, or just even combat where Vergil's able to be fully expressive as a character. You're never given any truly hard bosses or anything. And I think that is the worst part of it. To wrap up the story, though, Vergil wakes up at his mom's grave and is approached by an army of demons, which he then commands and is assumingly going to go kill Dante now. But, you know, we'll never know, huh? Ninja Theory, please. Somebody buy Ninja Theory so we can get DMC2 Capcom, please. Please, we need this. Overall, the story is very short, but it gives us a bit more insight into Vergil as a character who always seemed a bit all over the place in the main game, and it sets up for a sequel, but it just leaves a lot to be desired. It's a lot of cool ideas, though. I know I keep saying that. And before I get into the combat, I kind of want to make it clear. I do like DMC Reboot's combat quite a bit, actually. I think it's a really good introduction to the hack and slash genre. It's not the highest skill level stuff like you'd see in something like a Dante combo mad video for DMC4, but you get enough to ease you into the genre, feel a little more comfortable with things like timing and stuff, you know, with visual cues. But man, does Vergil's combat leave a lot to be desired. This version of Vergil is just okay, especially compared to something like DMC4 Vergil, hell, even DMC3 Vergil, but I think it's not bad at all. Vergil still plays more stylishly, having attacks that you have to time perfectly to get higher damage, and that's cool. He still has very similar things in his kit, things like Judgment Cut, and he also has things Dante had and gets to reuse them in ways I think are way better, actually. Or, well, they suit Vergil better. He has things like Demon Pool and Angel Lift, which, if you remember or if you don't know, are the moves where you are able to pull demons towards you or pull yourself toward demons. Except for Dante, he had to, like, physically do the move of him pulling himself towards or pulling the enemy towards him. With Vergil, he just does it with his swords, and it's kind of awesome. Being able to just teleport enemies to you or being able to teleport to them is fucking tough, and it fits Vergil's kit so well. And Vergil has what I can essentially call 3 modes, just like Dante, but Vergil doesn't have any weapons this time. It's just he uses the Yamato in different ways, which it's very clearly a time limitation thing rather than having to design new weapons, especially considering if they had to design new weapons for 6 levels, it's a little too much work. His normal mode, he has things like his Judgment Cut, his basic 1-2-3 combos, Helm Breaker, just like Dante, his air combos, very basic stuff that you need to function in his kit. And then you have his Angel mode, where he has fast moves, but they don't do nearly as much damage. Sadly, both the Demon and Angel modes only have about 5 moves. For the Angel mode, we have Rapid Slash, which is a dash that damages anything in his path, Flare, which has Vergil spin in a circle and damage nearby enemies, Rising Star, which is done with the same input as Flare, but now you hold it and it launches enemies into the air, Orbit, which just has Vergil spin in the air, which is a pretty good air move actually. And lastly, Aerial Flush, which launches a projectile at the closest enemy. I think each of these moves has their own uses, but the real standouts here are Orbit, which is really good when mixed with one of the Demon mode moves, but it is such a consistent combo tool for just constantly juggling enemies in the air. And Rising Star being used to put an enemy in the air or groups of enemies in the air is extremely helpful. 2 moves I ended up using the least ended up being Rapid Slash and Aerial Flush. Aerial Flush is a fine tool, but I never needed to use it all that much. Maybe after I ended a combo and I wanted to hit an enemy who was already really low. And Rapid Slash is good for running through groups, but you have better crowd control using things like Flare. And lastly, we have Demon mode, which consists of stronger attacks at the cost of speed. You have Divorce, which is a set of heavy slashes. They work essentially just like normal attacks, just slower and do way higher damage. Then you have Volcano, which is a slam that launches nearby enemies into the air. Next is Killer Bee, which is kind of my favorite Vergil move. It's essentially dive kick, but man, it is so good for resetting enemies so you can combo them in the air for even longer. And just like Aerial Flush from Angel mode, you have Drive for Demon mode, which is also a projectile attack, except this one launches a projectile straight down, and it has a follow-up move called Stomp that you can only do after getting Drive, and Stomp gets stronger the higher in the air you are. Demon mode kind of suffers from some very similar issues that Dante's Demon mode in the normal one does, where some moves just straight out outclass other ones, and it's kind of just a thing that happens in hack and slash games. But man, Divorce, not really the best move. Volcano isn't bad. It's a good way to launch enemies in the air, but you have better options with things like your on-demand launcher from one button. Killer Bee is just so good. It is literally the best demon move. It is an easy way to reset enemies in the air so you can keep juggling them. You could do things like Killer Bee into Orbit, into Killer Bee before Orbit finishes, just as a way to keep looping these 2 moves. It's not the most exciting thing, but it is a cool way to use both of these moves, along with mixing them up with Vergil's normal air combo attacks. Drive is kind of a weird one, because unlike Aerial Flush, I couldn't really think of the uses for it unless you put yourself directly over an enemy or they had just fallen to the ground after an attack. It's not as good. And Stomp is a good move, but it's better the higher you are, so you want to combo an enemy as high as you possibly can before using it. And the last 2 parts of the kit I want to talk about are Vergil's swords and Doppelganger. Vergil's swords work practically the same as they do in other games. And man, Spiral Sword in this game is so good, it melts literally anything it touches. In fact, it actually got nerfed in the definitive edition just because of how good it was, but they didn't really nerf it that much. Instead, they just made it break sooner, but it still does so much damage. It does cost Devil Trigger, but still. And Doppelganger is pretty fucking cool. You get 3 modes in Doppelganger. The one which is just the normal mode where it copies everything you do one to one. You have a delayed mode where you can make it do moves just slightly delayed after you. It's self-explanatory. And then you have a mode where you can switch it to demon or angel mode to make it perform those attacks. It's a fun use of a tool. I wish there was more place to use it, but it's a fun use of a tool. I think Vergil is fun to play, but leaves more things to be desired, especially when you look back at things like DMC3 Vergil, DMC4 Vergil. That kind of tends to be a thing, I think, when I play the reboot. Even though I've played it like 9 times now, I enjoy the game regardless. I know what it was going for, and I think it succeeded in the ways it needed to. I wish that the Demon and Angel movesets were given to a different weapon rather than him just using his Yamato in a different way, but that's fine. I think that I can accept time limitations are a thing, and this is a good way to go about it. And I know what they were going for with the MC Reboot Vergil. He's not exactly supposed to be just like Vergil from the main series, but he lacks being a powerhouse, being a cool, cold, calculated guy. Vergil in the reboot loses his head pretty fucking quickly. Alright, I've gone on long enough. Let's wrap this up, shall we? I kind of enjoy Vergil's downfall. I've seen a lot of people online say they enjoy it, and that's great. I'm glad that somebody can enjoy something I feel just okay towards. You get to play this DLC with basically any version of the game now. The only downside being the definitive version has the Bloody Palace, where the version that you get on Steam does not. That kind of sucks, on top of some balance changes. The DLC is super short if you ever want to play it and you have a copy of the game. It only takes about 2 hours to complete, and if you want to do any of the extra content, I'd recommend picking up the definitive version. That is straight up just the better version of this game. It has turbo mode, which the version on PC does not, and this game is stupidly slow without turbo mode. And only having one boss fight kind of takes it down even further from me, especially not even being that much of an interesting or different boss fight, because we just fought Vergil before. Like, if you jump into this DLC right after beating the main game, you would have fight Vergil twice, like 2 hours apart. I think that if you have a copy of the game and you haven't played Vergil's Downfall, or if you even wanted to pick up a copy of the DMC Reboot just to play it because you got it for like dirt cheap or something, I recommend getting the definitive version. But if you get it on PC, that's just as fine. I think this game is solid enough to play even without turbo mode and stuff. But let me know your thoughts on Vergil's Downfall. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And when I see you next, we will be talking about my favorite zombie slop game, Dying Light. And remember, be safe, friend, and don't you dare go hollow.